Are you working your crochet projects in the round? If you are, today I'm going to show you how to continuous round crochet. With the continuous round crochet, you get kind of a spiral look where your rounds spiral out from one another. So if you're ready to learn, let's grab a hook and some yarn and we'll get crocheting. So to begin, I started with a magic circle with 6 half double crochets inside of it. Now right away when you are continuous round crocheting, we're not going to slip stitch to close this round. So into this very first stitch here, I'm actually going to work the first stitch of my next round. So right here into this space is where I'm going to work my first stitch of this round. So because I'm using half double crochets, I yarn over, I go into that space, I yarn over, pull through the space, I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And that completes the first half double crochet of this round. Now, because it can be really hard to identify where that first stitch of the round is when you get all the way back around, I like to use a stitch marker. And I'm simply just going to place it right there in the top of that very first stitch that I created for this round. Now I'm going to do an increase. So I'm going to put 2 stitches in each stitch around. So that way I can make it grow. So I'm going to have 12 half double crochets for this row because 6 times 2 is 12. I'm going to get to the end of this round and I'll show you what I do when I get to the end of a round for continuous round crochet. So here we are, we're at the end of this round. Now hopefully you can see why I mark that first stitch because it gets really hard to identify which one's the last one and which one's the first one. So let's count. So we start with the one we've got marked. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now remember I said I needed 12 because I had 6 half double crochets in the first round and I did an increase round where I put 2 stitches in every stitch. So into this very last stitch here, I need to put 2 half double crochets to bring my stitch count up to 12. And then that would finish the second round. Now for the third round and subsequent rounds, it's just the same. I'm going to take my stitch marker off and into that very first stitch, I'm going to place the next stitch of the round 3. So again, I'm going to bring in my stitch marker and I'm going to mark it so that way I know when I get back around. And you just keep working your rounds in the same way. Now let me show you how to close a continuous round circle. So I've gotten to the end here where I'm back to where my round started. So first thing I'm going to do before I close this circle is I'm going to take that stitch marker off. And then what I do to close when I'm done at the very, very end, this doesn't happen until you're all the way done. What I do is I go to that very first stitch of that round that we just completed. I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through that stitch and through the loop that's on my hook to slip stitch that round closed. And then I could fasten off, cut my yarn and then fasten off and weave in my ends or do whatever I need to finish that off. If you need more crochet tutorials, you could check out my blog, hopecornerfarm.com or my YouTube channel, Hope Corner Farm Crochet. And I hope you have a wonderful day.